This is the main road I took whenever I had work outside of the city, and I would always see it on the side of the road, just standing, looking over this area.
How does it feel now, sitting on his head?
Whenever you stand against the people will definitely win at the end.
We're about to spend the next few days exploring sides of Syria never really seen before. As the al-Assad's family 55-year dictatorship fell in December 2024, the country found itself in a state of semi-anarchy. We entered the country without visas. Revolutionary forces quickly took over security in the country, and we can now explore places that were completely forbidden just a few months ago, which is what we'll be doing today over the next 3 days. On my last trip in the country with my local friends Ghaidaa, a Syrian descendant of Palestinian refugees, and Touma, a Christian Syrian from the Mediterranean coast, there were 3 places we didn't get to go to, however, for different reasons. The first one is the most preserved medieval Crusades castle in the world. Standing here completely empty due to the lack of tourism, we will get to be some of the very rare people in the last few decades to see and document this spectacular relic of the past. The second, Syria's beautiful and lush Mediterranean coast, where our friend and videographer Touma is from, to explore scenery that very few people know exist in the Middle East. The third will be our most emotional, Ghaidaa's childhood home. It was illegal for foreigners to enter this neighborhood last time, and it was the only place in the country she told me that she would never go. Her home was destroyed during the war, and she could not stomach going back to see it in ruins. But this time, for the very first time, she told us she wants to go see it. Our final and additional stop was every Syrian's worst fear, a place that no one made it out of alive, the Sednaya Prison, possibly the darkest place on earth, which we got access to enter and see for ourselves. We brought along our cinematographer friend Cory to capture these important stories, as we now have access to film without restriction. Needless to say, this is going to be an emotional story, but a necessary one. We are grateful that you are here for this and hope you'll stick around to explore these hidden places with us as we first start the road trip. We are stopping to refuel gas here on the side of the road, and this is how you do it. A lot of the country is sort of self-running itself right now as new government and new systems are put in place. We pass checkpoints where you can sometimes almost see teenagers holding weapons that are checking on who's going in and out. The first stop on our road trip through the rolling green hills of Syria was the spectacular 1,000-year-old castle of Krak the Chevaliers.
So this is your favorite castle in Syria?
Or one of the most preserved medieval castles in the world.
Built in the 12th century by the Catholic military order of the Knights Hospitaliers, the Krak de Chevaliers is a formidable fortress used during the Crusades. With its massive walls, deep moats, and strategic hilltop location, it was never conquered while the knights resided within. The castle remained an unshakable stronghold until it was peacefully surrendered in 1271, and today it stands as a masterpiece of medieval military engineering and a lasting symbol of Syria's extensive history.
You know, the whole time when we were here, even as an Egyptian, as a neighbor, I don't really know what Syria looks like. You know, we're driving by and there's like snow-capped mountains and rolling greens, like things that remind me of, you know, Switzerland or Slovenia. I don't think the reality of the country was ever conveyed in a way that allows the world, your neighbors, to even know what Syria looks like. So it's gorgeous. It's like one of the most beautiful drives I've ever done, and it's not at all one that you'd expect to have in the Middle East. You know, it's like the way people think of the Middle East.
I am very excited to be here. This medieval castle was the main thing that we missed out on doing last time, and I got a lot of Syrians telling me that I should have shown more of the beautiful historical landmarks that this incredible country has. But I hope that over the years to come that Syria will only get safer and safer, and more people will get to see the beauty of the country and of its people. all over here too.
During the 14 years of war, this is one of the villages who stood up against the government.
I see.
So the government made sure to teach them a lesson, you know, like the way that it does it.
Yeah.
مجموعة سياحية؟
It's amazingly well preserved for having lived through civil war for all these years, and it's still standing and it looks fairly unharmed.
When I first met other Yes Fam guys in Syria, we got super excited. Oh no, I'm not the only one, and we found each other. Then we decided to seek discomfort and go somewhere. So one of the guys used to have a house in a nearby town. We came, spent the night at his place, and then the next morning we hiked all the way up to this castle. So like this is a full circle for me. This is the first place that I met other Yes Fam members from Syria, and now bringing Yes Theory themselves up to this castle.
Wow. It feels huge.
Yeah.
This is the most incredible castle that I've gone to explore, especially completely on our own. Being here by ourselves feels very strange, and you can tell that there was infrastructure here before. There's lights and things that don't work anymore.
Yeah, well, right before the war, Syria was one of the most visited countries in the Middle East. Right now I was talking to the guard here in the castle, and he said this month there were 36 foreign visitors only. At the same month from 2010 there were 4,000 foreign visitors.
In 1 month?
In 1 month.
To this castle?
Place. Yes.
Let's hope that over time that reverses back.
I really hope so.
We wanted to start by catching up on Ghaidaa's life, since we hadn't seen her in person since our previous video with her 3 years ago, after which her life drastically changed and led her to leave Syria. Something she could never have done before, as she had never had a Syrian passport, just a Palestinian identity card. He met Rock and moved to Slovenia, where he's from, with him. But the way it happened is truly magical. We had our trip together for a week. How did you feel when we published the video? What happened in your life?
So overwhelming, but in a positive way. I had lots of messages, people that I don't know who messaged me like the sweetest messages, and I was starting to cry because like, I don't know you, but like, you're so nice to me, thank you.
So from your perspective, you watched our story.
I was just looking out for which country should I visit next. I saw your video from Syria, the first one.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe I should do a little research. I contacted her and we start chatting like client to customer. And then we have my wife.
I feel like we're skipping so much and they're just jumping from
Like literally we got engaged in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, like I always thought about like, it's so stupid to go that fast. Actually, like it is true, when you know, you know. And I knew that he's a good guy. I just fell in love of the goodness of his heart, and he didn't prove me wrong ever since.
His name is Rock, but he is a rock.
He is a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're rock.
He's my rock.
Exactly.
When I met her, and the reason why I got distracted or attracted or however, it's when I saw how people respect her. How, you know, when she comes into the place lights up. So it was like, okay, maybe I should think about this. And yeah.
How did your family react when you just came back and said, hey, I'm in love with a Palestinian Syrian girl and I want to marry her?
Oh, I remember that everybody were happy because I just remember. I need a few minutes.
Yeah, okay. Take your time, man.
Everybody was supporting me, my family especially, so yeah.
Why did you get emotional there? What did you remember?
I just remember the things about my mom. She only met her over the video call. A few months before she finally came to Slovenia, she passed away.
She's watching over you both.
It is for sure.
When he told me the whole story, I was like, I was as happy as when my sister got married. I know we had never even met, but just to know that you found love in the middle of so much darkness and so much pain, and for that love to be a chance for a new life, somewhere new where you can just thrive more and as you said, just meet the huge potential that you have, just made me so happy.
So the first time that you really left was when you moved to Europe?
Yes. I was so scared. Like, I dreamt my whole life of traveling, but you're going to a new life, new people, new language. You're gonna need to start from scratch.
Dobro jutro! Yeah! Hello! Welcome to Slovenia, Ghaidaa!
But also she left the Syria on October 7th, when all the hell broke out in Palestine.
From like literally day one that I left Syria, people in Gaza started getting bombed. I couldn't give myself a chance to celebrate even my marriage or my new life. I think it's the, what do they call it? The
Survivor's guilt.
Yeah, the survivor's guilt. Not only for people in Palestine, also friends and people I know in Syria. Lots of them feel stuck. I wish I could just give them the life they deserve, or just take them with me to a better place.
For our last stop of this first day of the trip, Touma took us on a road trip to his favorite spot on the coast, near where he grew up in Syria, Latakia.
We're in Latakia, my city.
It was a 4.5 hour drive, but it was so beautiful. Didn't feel like it.
This rock over here is like one of my favorite places in the city because I've made tons of memories with a lot of people.
If you had all of Syria watching you right now, what would you want to say?
We grew up in little bubbles. The previous government and even our parents made sure that we stay in those bubbles. They separated us. When there's a friend group, it's usually just one color, you know, one sect, one belief, one type of people. Only in 10th grade that I tried to go out of that bubble and see what's out there, and what I found wasn't as scary as people make it out to be. And now after the fall of the regime, when it's definitely time for us to break through them and see what's on the other end. No single sect is the enemy. I think in this time frame, it's the first time that I feel that it might be possible. I think I can still see it in my lifetime.
And before we go any further, we just want to thank the sponsor of this video that allows us to make these important stories possible, Syria, who are now offering 15% off using code YesTheory.
Syria is a worldwide eSIM service which provides affordable and super easy to use mobile data in 190 countries around the world. So instead of buying a physical SIM card and having to take yours out and losing your phone number for the duration of your trip, you can easily install an eSIM and get access to data globally at much cheaper prices. I'm actually gonna miss my train here, so see you on the train. Syria even offers global plans if you're planning on visiting multiple countries on your next trip. And with advanced security features, you can change your virtual location, block malicious ads, and stay safer with web protection.
They also have 24/7 support in case you run into any issues, and you can get a full refund if your device isn't eSIM compatible. The eSIM plans work with all iOS and Android devices. To download the Syria app and get 15% off, you can scan the QR code on screen now, or go to syria.com/YesTheory and absolutely use the code YesTheory at checkout. Now back to Syria.
Wanted to take a moment to kind of pause, because last time I came here, I came by myself. Like, when you see the level of destruction, and I think it's going to hit home even harder for you, before we go out of this beautiful, peaceful place, like, just to be ready within you, you know, because I wasn't, and it, like,
missed you.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember from just you coming back and how much it affected you, and now it's been over a year and a half of just seeing these scenes, you know, every day coming out from Gaza, and I haven't seen a destruction set like that. Yeah. A building that is like blown up.
No. Not just a building, a city, man. This is gonna be a different trip. There was only one thing that you said you did not want to do last time.
I wanted my story to begin with where my story started, and that's Yarmouk camp. It's a refugee camp for Palestinians just like me. I lost so much there.
You had a hard time deciding whether you even wanted to come to Syria in the first place.
Especially because I'm far. I'm just like looking through social media and just seeing news. So I was scared of coming and see that the ugly things I've seen was true. But I'm really, really, really happy that I decided to come. I feel home again, and I'm not, you know, a stranger.
All right,
You lead the way.
Let's go.
And so, in an unexpected decision from Ghaidaa, we were on our way to Yarmouk, the neighborhood where she grew up and that she eventually had to flee. Yarmouk used to be an unofficial refugee camp, home to thousands of Palestinians who had to flee the lands they had been living on for generations after the State of Israel was created by the UN in 1948. Zionist paramilitary groups violently expelled Palestinians from their homes in order to expand their territory, resulting in thousands of killings and over 700,000 Palestinians having to flee their homes. This event became known as the Nakba, or catastrophe. Yarmouk was one of the refugee camps that these displaced Palestinians settled in. Over time, though, it became a fully developed neighborhood with schools, hospitals, restaurants, and mosques, and it was home to more than 160,000 people. When the Syrian civil war broke out in 2011, the Palestinians residing here tried to stay neutral, but the rebel forces moved into the district in 2012, getting a foothold just a few kilometers from the center of Damascus. Assad sent his army to take out the rebels, launching one of the most brutal sieges of the 21st century. Intense fighting broke out on the streets amongst residential buildings, and eventually Yarmouk was completely encircled by the regime, to the point that no food, water, or supplies could come into the neighborhood. Until finally, in 2018, the Syrian army, with the help from Russia, began dropping bombs across the city to try to wipe out the rebels, killing countless of innocent civilians in the process and reducing 80% of the district to rubble.
I've passed here 100 times, and every time I try to look away.
Who lived in this neighborhood?
Well, mostly Palestinian refugees like myself.
So Palestinians fled and came here,
Yeah.
lived in this neighborhood, built this place, gave it life, and then this is what happened to them afterwards.
Yeah. Well, my grandparents came in 1948, and they built a full building out of nothing. Like, they created their life from zero. We treated this place as it's a small Palestine, and it's like we lost Palestine twice. Look at the amount of destruction. I mean, can you imagine each one of those houses had memories, had dreams, had hopes, had lives, and they're all gone. Maybe this is one of the reasons I didn't want to come back, because I just want to keep the old nice memories of food vendors and clothes shops and familiar faces that are now all gone. Just a street that I walked through every single day when I went to high school. I just can't recognize anything. I recognized it by the tree that my grandfather planted.
This tree?
This building was also my grandfather. One of my cousins passed away here on the balcony. He was hit by a mortar shell. He was only 18.
I just want people to know this is not past events. This is still happening till this day. It's happening right now as you're watching this. It keeps happening and we're letting it happen. This hasn't ended. We're not just looking at relics from the past. There's 2 million people somewhere that looks like this right now and they're expecting to just carry on their normal lives. Nothing can prepare you to walk through streets and look at every room and know that there's some kid or some human just there, with, as she said, with their own set of dreams and hopes and things that they wanted to achieve in life. Already having been dealt the worst of cards. They've already been displaced in the first Nakba in 48 and now we're again seeing it happen over again.
How do you feel being here for the first time, seeing where your wife comes from?
I never expected the destruction on this level.
That's my house. This was the bakery. And this is my house there. My sister told me it's not very safe to go, but I'll try.
I'll scout it first. I'll make sure that so everything is still intact. This was your room?
Yeah. Oh my god. This is my mom, my grandma, and that's her brother. This is from kindergarten. Dad had a very big library here. He loved to read, and everything he taught me, Palestine, philosophy, morals, religion. And I don't even want to think what did they do to those books. I'm shivering. It's weird how when I was a kid I felt that our house is so much bigger. Now I can feel like it's this small. Also, we had the roof and she turned it into a garden. She had at least 100 kinds of plants. And I would give my life just to see it one more time, like it used to be. I remember coming and Mom would be cooking. I can almost smell the aroma of everything again.
Your courage to stand here is unbelievable.
I feel surreal. I feel like I'm dreaming. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm not here.
If I was standing and this was my childhood house, I don't think I could stay here. Your strength is unbelievable. Is this yours?
Yes, yeah. I was in high school.
When you're bored, play sports or read. No music or TV till you finish everything. There's no time to waste, stupid.
Oh my god, it's so
That's rough instructions to yourself. Do you want to keep this?
Well, if I call myself stupid, I should.
When you walked out of the house, you thought you would come.
Yeah, just a couple of days and we'll be back. Everything will be okay. Palestinians thought the same in '48. They still had their house keys, and we'll be back soon. We left to the suburbs when everything was very dangerous. My brother, who was killed, is the only one who refused to leave. He stayed to help. He was working in something like an NGO, a charity that helped bringing food to the people who are starving. Totally a civilian. Yeah. One time I was asked, how did you survive the war? I was like, I was lucky. That's all I can say. I was never in the wrong place in the wrong time. It was purely luck.
السلام عليكم.
الله يعطيك العافية يا رب. مسألة حالي معوية أول مرة بحارتنا هيك شوف هيك عالم.
كيفك؟
والله الحمد لله. كيفك أنت؟ شو أخبارك؟
We met a man here who has moved back. أنا عمار.
أهلا وسهلا.
مصري.
واللي معاكم أجانب يعني؟
ده من سويدي
وده
أمريكي.
أهلا وسهلا.
وأنا
من هون؟ وين ساكنة؟
أنا كنت هون ساكنة.
بنت أبو شو اسمه؟
أبو ضياء.
أبو ضياء. أهلا وسهلا فيك يا رب. وين صفي العائلة؟
صحنايا.
والله طبعا احنا جيران ها؟
جيران. تمام. أنت كان بيتك؟
إيه بيت هون. عندي بنت ومرأة.
ربنا يخليها لك.
الله يخليهم السلام يا رب.
كلهم عايشين معاك هنا؟ كلهم عايشين معاك؟
فرجينا السطح عندك إذا بتحب، إذا ما بتحب.
تفضلوا تفضلوا. لو كان يجي جوع ايام النظام يستغلوا فيه الكاسين طبعا. ايوه والله خلعنا.
This was his apartment, that was his kitchen, this was his brother's house.
الحمد لله. شوف قد ما بدكم.
وين كنت خلال 14 سنة الماضيين؟
والله مع السوار كنت في يشحر.
وين؟
وانا جبت عقبة اصل لرجلي. اي ما عاد احسن مثلا انه كمل تعرف مع هي هويتي العسكرية طبعا. ايه ما عاد كمان خلاص انه صرت مقعد ما يقولوا. ما عاد نفع بشيء لا ركيدة ولا انه الحمد لله خلصنا من الشغلة اهم شيء.
الحمد لله يا رب.
وخلاص واحد شي بده علاج باله يرتاح باله.
final stop of the trip would turn out to be one of the most horrible places we'd ever visited.
In a sentence, like what is the Sednaya Prison?
I think it's a place that I would rather die than spend the rest of my life in.
The Sednaya Prison was a notorious military prison located near Damascus. It is one of the most infamous detention centers in the country, and maybe the world, known for its harsh conditions, systematic torture, and executions, particularly since the outbreak of the Civil War. Tens of thousands of political prisoners, activists, and opposition members were detained here, many of whom were tortured or killed. Civilians lived in fear, as some were rounded up and sent to this prison for something as simple as interacting with a Facebook post that opposed the regime.
Welcome to Hell on Earth.
Just do a prayer for anyone and everyone that has ever stepped in here or just seen torture or pain in this place. Let's just pray for them and their families. And
this is the prisoner's entrance. Way colder as soon as you step into the walls.
Because of how horrible the stories we were told about this prison were, we decided to edit most of that out. But I think the visuals of this place will speak for themselves. This, despite being the most notorious, is just one of over 100 facilities like it that were found, where people would be sent to literally never be seen again. While this building represents so much loss and pain, it also stands as a symbol of the freedom that Syrians had fought so long for.
Here, they would get a glimpse of basically the rest of their lives. They used to be stripped down, naked, fully naked. They would face the first round of torture, from whipping to there's this thing that's called tire. Even we used to hear like, beware that you don't end up in a tire. So I don't know what would happen, or like how would they use tires to torture people. After they get stripped and started torture, they would be put in one of those little cages.
yeah.
They're so narrow, so you barely fit, and they would just put as many people as possible in them. Can you imagine that this place used to be functional until 2 months ago? Like,
I think that's why I don't want to be here, and I don't want to spend so much time. So
Yeah.
it's still so too fresh.
Well, I was with a tourist, and as you know, the Syrian flag was painted on every single door of the shops. And he was like, is it the people who chose to do that, or how is it like every single one? And I could have sworn that we were alone in the street. And I told him, no, actually, the government forces them to paint it. And the next day I got a call from the intelligence. Why are you saying that? I'm like, I didn't say that. No, you said it, and it was in this exact street.
Wow.
I was like, no. So I insisted that I didn't say anything, and they just let it go. But since then, I was very careful of what I say, because I think if I did it a second time, it would be the end of me.
Yeah. And this is the risk.
Yes, exactly. Not only me, but the people I like, my friends, my family, everyone I care about would be also end up here.
Yeah. We also have this saying in Syria, the walls have ears.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they also would pay people to snitch, right?
Yeah, they would definitely pay people to snitch.
On the guard's ID.
This is definitely, by a long shot, the worst place I've ever stepped footed in my life.
Someone just wrote a prayer for his mom and praying that he's let out soon.
I'm so sorry for what you guys are about to see. I managed to visit after the fall of the regime, and now I know why it used to be my biggest fear. It's literally down there.
This is solitary confinement. Someone keeping counts of something. Just so many prayers in the wall. Just Ya Rabbi farajak. When the regime fell and people started coming in here, there were so many calls on social media if anyone knew of the blueprints of this prison, because nobody knew how many floors it goes down, or the architecture, or the extent in which the prison expanded.
So like they started digging, just looking, like just hoping to find anything that they didn't find. And this is one of the holes that they dug.
Yeah.
The story that is definitely worth spreading is there are still thousands of people that we don't know where they are.
Yeah. So I hope that if you're somewhere that gives you rights, where you're not under the threat of just being taken and your family never hearing about you again, just really, really appreciate that and have it be at the forefront of your mind.
There is a lot of talk of turning this place into a museum.
We were just saying, people have to come here and see this and understand what people went through and understand the extent of darkness. In modern times, we're no longer talking about the 1940s, we're talking about 2024. كنت عايز أسألك كسوري ايه احساسك وانت ماشي في مكان زي ده؟
ما في احساس، يعني ما في احساس فيك يعني كنا عايشين بغابة. يعني من 1200 معتقل بيطلع 300 معتقل، يعني وين المعتقلين وين راحوا؟ العالم طاق مخها انه ما في معتقلين معلم. تخيل انت 900 معتقل معلم اختفوا بحدود 3 شهور.
Unfortunately, this place is called the Sednaya Prison. But Sednaya is the name of the area nearby that a really old monastery is built in. The association of the name between the holy place and this piece of hell on earth. I just need to find a way to reclaim that name, to show more people that Sednaya isn't just this prison. Sednaya is this beautiful area with this holy side. Well boys, now I can say with a smile, welcome to Sednaya, the place where the name should be associated with. There's also an orphanage here where the nuns of the monastery take care of the children. Around 40 children are being taken care of here in this building.
We came up to this church and we weren't initially supposed to film in here, but we befriended a couple of the nuns that are here. And one of them is showing us around now. He's such a kind soul.
الله يحميكم، الله يكون معكم، انتبهوا حالكم.
تسلمي.
It's hard to describe the range of emotions we go through on trips like this. We also know if you're here with us now all the way until the end, that you're likely feeling all sorts of emotions as well at the moment.
Places like this stand as a testament to just to show that Christians of the Middle East are a fundamental element of our societies, our communities, of what makes us who we are. You know, Christianity basically started in this part of the world, so I just hope that as people think about this nation and the future of this nation, that they don't think of any sect, but specifically Christians as a minority. And we really go back to the basics, go back to the roots of why this exists, why this exists. We're all just brothers and sisters in humanity, and we really gotta protect it, because right now it's just feeling more fragile than it's ever been.
There is indeed no place on earth that we've ever traveled to that asks for as much nuance as Syria. The contrast between the extreme kindness, unlike anywhere else on earth, mixed with the seemingly never-ending violence, is so hard to come to terms with. Syrians have been meticulously divided between religious sects for decades, as shown from the recent violence that broke out right after we left. When the narrative becomes us versus them, atrocities can happen quickly, and Syria clearly has a way to go before reaching the peace we're all praying for. Our goal, however, is that this story opens your eyes and the world's eyes to the desperate need we have for peace and for empathy around the world. We wish to say that the tragic conditions you witnessed in this video can be bookmarked as events of the past, but unfortunately, they're not. Ghaida's people, the Palestinian people, continue to be murdered and displaced in Gaza and the West Bank for the past 2 years, and since all the way back to 1948. And now, the world is letting it happen all over again. No amount of footage you'll see on social media or the news can prepare you for what you feel when you witness the aftermath of human suffering. It should absolutely not be controversial to stand up against and loudly reject this reality. Listen to people's stories and understand their pain. Let that push us out of our comfort zone and allow our perspective to be challenged. It may take generations to heal. It may take generations to rebuild, but in our lifetime, we hope to see peace, tolerance, and acceptance between religious groups in Syria and around the world. May our generation serve as an anchor for this intention and stand against violence for a peaceful future to eventually blossom.